We're going in order. Okay, so our next comes to our stovetops. So we're dealing right now with a gas range, right? So many people have gas ranges. This is very helpful. So there's a few different pieces that need to be dealt with, and that is the actual grates and then the surface underneath them as well. So let's talk about the grates for a second. I need to kasher these grates. Two options for kashering grates. One is I could take these grates and I could put them in the oven for a self-clean. Okay, no problem, no cleaning necessary. They come out a few hours later, returned, and they're fine. You may want to just check your manual for your stovetop and see if they say that that's not a good idea. Now, these things can take a lot of heat, but not all of them can take that kind of heat. So one wants to just be sure, first of all, that they can take that. If they can, that's the easiest way to do that. They go in, self-clean's happening, they come out, they're completely clean. If you cannot do that, another possibility of doing it is as follows, is you can take a pot, and the pot should be a pot which has not been used for 24 hours and is clean. So it can even be a chametz stick pot, but it's a clean chametz stick pot that's not been used for 24 hours. You put hot water into that pot, and you put it on its highest temperature on that particular burner. So like we bring it up to, which is our heater, here's our high, and the reason why you have the pot on top, the pot is not doing the kashering, the pot is spreading the flame. Right, so what happens over here is that flame now is heating up my grate. If I do that for 15 to 20 minutes on each burner, then that's sufficient to kasher this area of the grate, and that is sufficient to do that. Now in this case you have to do it five specific times because there happens to be 5 different grates, and that requires a little timing because you don't want to do this at the same time. It's going to be too hot. It gets dangerous to do this kind of thing all at once. But let's say I'm doing this and I put a timer on, I can make sure when I'm doing other things like counters as an example, I'm doing my stove 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, and I'm done, and I now cover my grates. Okay? It may be necessary to refill the pot at a certain point because the water is going to keep evaporating, but that's just us spreading our heat. The problem with this is this does not account for the surface below as well, right? So what do we do about the surface below? That surface below has definitely met food before. We've all lived in houses. Our dinner is always going there. So what do we do? So one option is to do a hagala, which means to say boiling water. Probably advisable not because there's sensitive equipment, I guess, especially when it comes to gas, and something not good is going to happen. Much better option is just to cover it, right? So you can buy in certain stores like special heavy duty, cut the holes in the right space. I'm not going to lift it right now because this is a little hot right now because the other pot is boiling. You put it over in the right place and you're good. When doing this, remember to be very careful not to cover any vents, and be very careful not to cover the shocking system if it's in a gas range, because the gas range gives its electricity through a little called shocking device which is on the side of it. If you're covering that, or if it's taking the shock to the aluminum, you could be putting gas out without lighting, and that's dangerous. So just remembering, if there's any holes or any equipment, you're not covering that with the foil itself. There are some people who are still makbid to cover the entire grate as well. They do not feel that the kashering is sufficient around the sides as well. Many are not of that opinion. Just understand, if you cover a house, that was the practice, is to cover even the grates as well. That's where it is coming from as well. When you're dealing with a range which is not gas, okay, so let's say you're not dealing with a fire and gas, you're dealing with electricity. Electricity not works so much the same way. You put it on its sides, you're in your pot there, you just put it on its side, when it's red hot, that's sufficient, that area is kasher. Similarly, when you're dealing with like a glass top as well, switch on its high so it goes red underneath it, that area, that circle is completely kasher. The issue becomes the areas between. So when I'm dealing with an electric stove top, I would need to cover those areas between. Again, be very careful about the vents. It's just a safety issue. When it comes to glass, much more complicated, because you can't cover tempered glass, it could shatter. So the problem is that, let's say, imagine for a second that this was a glass top, and I've kashered these 5 circles. The area between them are not kashered, which means if I were to take my Pesach pot, which I'm cooking my kanedlach soup, and I move it to the side, I'm moving onto a chometz surface on Pesach. That is a real problem. There are different suggestions that people have. Some people suggest having little trivets over the center sections, in between sections. I've even had some people who put little coins, like little nickels, so that if you put anything there, it would not be resting directly on the surface. there is a very interesting invention which I just saw in the last 2 years, which is a type of cloth which goes over glass tops, and it does not burn up and allows the heat to travel through it, which would act as a tribute to the entire thing. It's meant for glass tops. I don't remember the specific name, but it's really an excellent option for creating a way to deal with this for in between sections as well. That being less of an issue when it comes to gas ranges, just because of the way that one caches it and the heat is spreading on that particular heat. You good? Yeah.
So you had said that if you're able to put the grates in for self-cleaning, that's great, you don't have to clean them.
Yep.
But if you're doing the other options,
Yes.
the 15-20 minutes, you have
You need to
to
have it 24 hours. I apologize. Thank
Okay.
you. Yes. If I'm doing the cleaning and what's called libun kal, which is that highest level of heat, which is rising to 450, 500, I need that 24 hours as well. So it comes into the same category as everything else. My counters, my sinks, cleaning, waiting, burning out, and then I'm fine. If I'm doing my libun gomor, which is in a self-clean oven, then there's no problem. There's no cleaning and no time needed as well. So it comes with the risk of the self-clean, same way. Cool?
Can you use the steamer to kasher the bottom of the?
You could. I said, it does come back into, it's not ideal again. I'll tell you why. Because it's the same thing. What is falling out of my pot? It's that noodle which falls over as well. That's solid heat. It's not just liquid heat. That being the case, if it's solid, it's not enough really. So then it's a cover. I would suggest covering, because that is what happens, right? That we know that's what comes out of our pot. It's not just splashes.
Covering it with a silicone mat. They have these silicone mats that go over the gas ranges. Would that be enough?
I haven't seen the videos. That should be sufficient as
Even
well.
if it doesn't cover the edges.
I don't know. I would need to see it. I would need to see it I'm not as familiar with that. Okay? Cool. Yes. What is
Right, so I have an induction, just
Yes.
2 burners. So
Yes.
you're saying I could put it all the way to high and it'll be kosher. But
Yes.
if I don't usually use it, do I still have to cover it? If I kosher
Yes.
it and I'm just not gonna use
Yes.
it, just cover it with
Yeah,
something else?
yes, because you know what happens is you just shift something over a few inches, and that's and that's a problem, because on Pesach we were exceptionally concerned about any mushroom, any amount of comments and any contact, especially through heat as well. Fred Lever?
Yeah, I mean, the same question about induction burner.
Yeah.
The induction is glass, it's the same as the glass.
Yeah, that's it was with that contact with that part. Okay, cool. We good?